Many times when we talk about bat adjustability, we refer back to the golf analogy, the driver to the pitching wedge per se.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone, all things being equal, if you could get your pitch and hit it as hard as you'd like, I think everyone, I don't think there's an exception to this, would rather hit it further than shorter, okay? So when you want to hit the ball further, the ability to keep this lead arm stretched as you move into that hitting window will allow the barrel of the bat to move the fastest. As soon as you start to shrink this thing down, the barrel's not going to move as fast. All right, so with respect to that golf analogy, what we tell our folks we work with is we'd always prefer the driver to be in your hands until you're forced to move to a pitching wedge, so to speak. So now why would you have to do that? Well, you'd have to do that because a pitcher threw the ball in a location that forced you to do that. You're certainly not going to keep your lead arm extended and stretched and have that ball run in on and jam you or even break your bat. You have to show the ability to adjust the barrel of your bat from an outside location to an inside location. And go ahead.
Well, does every player need that, or can you possibly be quick enough to just stay like this the whole time?
Possibly. I don't want to put limits on people. Teed asked, could you do it? Well, yeah, potentially I suppose you could. I haven't seen that person yet, but if you have the ability to stay here and get to a 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, I suppose you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. Probably. It's very, very challenging, and those pitchers present challenges to our hitters. The more common adjustment that we see is we see that player go from a leveraged position where he would handle the ball away, and then as that ball ran in, he would make that adjustment, and he would pull his barrel from an outside location to an inside location. Now, how you train that is very important. And many times what I'll suggest is I'll say subtle adjustment, subtle adjustment. What we don't want to necessarily see is we don't want to see a big dynamic adjustment. Okay, so when we see that move, essentially what that is that's sort of bypassing all this important stuff. That's saying, hey, I know the legs are important, the core is important, but I'm just going to whip this barrel out of it. Exactly, handsy. And I'm just going to clear that thing to move it from an outside to an inside position. And that's not an authentic adjustment. An authentic adjustment occurs up in this area here, just like a shoulder shrug, just a little shoulder shrug. You can move the barrel from an outside position to an inside position, and it's not nearly as drastic, and it gives you an opportunity to be successful more often. And this ability, although you don't need it at a young age, quite frankly, because young pitchers aren't painting corners, this ability to move the barrel from an outside to an inside location allows you to stay on the outside pitch. And in many times we talk to our hitters and our parents and our coaches about this ability. They come in and they say, my son has a hard time hitting the ball the other way. My son has a hard time hitting the curveball. And they do all of these other things that they believe that are going to assist their cause. But essentially, pain is the greatest teacher. And if that player feels vulnerable he's always going to cheat to that inside pitch because he just doesn't want to get jammed. He feels vulnerable. So that cheating takes us away from the outside corner. And that's why we can't hit the curveball. And that's why we can't drive the ball the other way.
So it's a whole lot easier to go in than to try to extend out and try to hit the outside.
Yeah, if you're seeing that player reach for that ball on that outside corner in that manner, that lunge effect, essentially what he's doing is he's cheating to the inside.
He's adjusting the wrong way.
He's adjusting the wrong way. He's adjusting from an in to an out. And every good hitter has to adjust from an out to an in. But if you don't have the ability to move subtly with what we call the scapula, your scapula pinches and moves your barrel from an out to an in location, hitting those high-level pitches is absolutely going to be challenging. And quite frankly, that skill, that fifth skill, many times is what begins to separate those level 13s and those level 14s.